Welcome back to Just Crafting Around. Today we are going to finish what we started, and that is a cookie sheet calendar. Today I'm going to show you how we are going to distress the painted circles that we've done. What I have is I like to use once in a while an emery board or the different kinds of sandpaper. So what I want to do is I want to go and I want to hit the tops a little bit. I want to hit the bottoms a little bit, and the sides right here I want to get. So what I'm going to do is take the sandpaper, sand lightly along the sides. As you can see, it's going to be exposing the wood, and then it'll take our stain quite a bit better. Seems like I have better control with the circles using an emery board. We can go up and top a little bit here. Also going to hit the bottom and the sides because you're going to be seeing the side as well. So we want to make sure we've got the bottoms and the side. Make sure when you are done with that you take some paper towels, because now you've sanded and you want to just wipe it off a little bit. We're going to wipe this off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some stain and we're going to stain those places. And what I have here is, this is walnut stain. It's called walnut wood tint. Shake that up a little bit. Going to put some gloves on because this part gets a little messy. So we're going to put some gloves on. I've got a small lint rag that I use. It's t-shirt material. Doesn't have any lint. Dip it in. What I do is I dip it in a little bit and then I kind of dot it out a little bit on the wax paper so that I don't get it so heavy. What I do is I go around the sides, and when I go around the sides, I go around the sides quite fast, and then I take the rest and I wipe off the excess. Now what I want to do is I want to go over the top of it. So I'll go back to what I have on the wax paper, and again I go over the front of it and I wipe the excess off of here. So now what I have is I have a distressed and an older looking circle. If you don't like the way you have it, you can go back. You can take your sandpaper or your emery board. You can go back once it dries, let it dry a little bit, go back, re-sand it a little bit, and then you can go over it again with the stain. So I like the way this one turned out, so we're going to put this one over to the side. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it over to the side and let it dry. Take my gloves off. And now I'm going to work on this other one. This other one, remember what we did with this? We colored it the sheepskin color. And again, I'm going to take my emery board and I am going to sand a little bit of the top where you can see it, and I'm going to sand the sides. Now normally you sand where you think is going to be the most wear. I usually take my project that I'm doing and I look to see, okay, where would the most wear be on this? And then that's what I sand down. And you can take a look. If you think that you've sanded too much of it and you didn't want to, just repaint it. Nothing hurt. In fact, that's what's so nice about this. You're doing it for number one, the way you want to do it. And number two, you can't do anything wrong with it. If you think that you've got it too dark of a color and you didn't want it that dark, repaint it. Nothing hurt. Okay, I think I have this sanded the way I want it. Again, we're going to wipe it off a little bit. This is the color that it looked like before. Now we're going to put our gloves back on again because the stain does get messy. It means I still have some stain here. I'm going to pick up some of this stain. I'm going to do the sides first. You don't have to do the bottom because it's not going to be seen. Again, we stain that a little bit. And now we're going to go over the top. I'm going to wipe it off. And now we're going to go over the top. I try to go with the green, with the wood green, if possible. If not, on a small piece like this, it really doesn't matter. Now, if you're going to be doing a big piece, I would definitely go with the green of the wood. But being this is a smaller piece, you don't have to. Again, take a look at it. I want it to have that dirty look, and that is pretty much what I achieved with this right here. Okay. Going to put that to the side and let it dry a little bit. Before I do that, I'm going to show you what I did with number 22. It's a piece of cloth measuring tape. And what I did was, this is pretty green. I don't like it so boldly green because it's not going to match with the rest of the stuff that I have. So there again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of the stain. I'm going to rub it in. Now here you want to be careful so that you probably don't get it too dark. You want it a little bit of dark because I'm trying to mute the green. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a little bit of stain on it. I don't want to put too much on there because I don't want it to look too harsh either. What I liked about this tape measure is I've had it since we've been married, so it is going on 30 plus years, so I do call that an antique. It's kind of fraying at the bottom, which is nice too. It's exactly what I'm looking for. So now I'm just going to let this dry a little bit, and then we are going to hot glue it onto our piece that we're going to be using. Okay, now we've got our pieces that have dried, that we've Mod Podged. We've taken the scrapbooking paper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a scissor and I'm going to cut around this piece. I'm going to try to get it as close as I possibly can. And if you can't get it that close, we are going to take the emery board and I'll show you what you can do with that to get even closer. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do, here's the piece. I'm going to take the emery board and I'm going to go on the side and I am just going to shape it in to what this looks like right here. And what it's going to do is, if there is a little bit longer piece, it's just going to take it and it's going to lay it over on the sides. And that's okay. That's fine. You don't mind it being like that. And if it's a little piece with the emery board, what it's going to do is it's going to cut it off. So if you've missed a little bit of a piece, don't worry. You're going to take your emery board. You're going to go all the way around the side. It's going to look just fine. This actually worked out really, really perfect. Now, if you want to age this a little bit, you can go over the top of it with your emery board. If you feel that you need to, you can go over the top of it with your emery board a little bit. I like it just the way it is. I like just the way it turned out. Now, I have a needle here, and being this is a tag, I want it to be a tag. So again, I'm going to go through here with this needle because I want to open up that hole so that we can put or use yarn or twine, whatever we see we want to use. And I've got a hole made right there. Okay. Now this is going to be for our number 25. Now what I want to do is I want to hot glue it, but I want to hot glue it down a little bit further. I don't want it to be in the middle. I want it to just be down a little bit further. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the braids that there are because I like these braids. I think it looks really cool with it. I'm going to take it and bend it over. I'm just going to put a dab of hot glue so that it stays. Without burning my finger if that is possible. Okay, put a little hot glue on that. Now we want to do the other side. Put the braid through there. The brad, I guess it's called. And I'm going to clamp it down on this side. And I'm going to put another little spot of hot glue on there. I just think that it just does something for this number. Now we're going to add a little hot glue there. And then we are going to decide where we want to put this on here. And we are going to hot glue it down. Kind of wanted to put it down a little bit further, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it a little further up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put hot glue. This didn't hold very well on here, so I'm going to put another little dab on there. I'm going to hot glue around here a little bit so that it sticks to my piece. Take any of the excess that there happens to be on there, scratch it off. Sure that it's even on there. That looks pretty good. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this twine again. I'm going to put it in half. I'm going to stick it through here. Put it through here. And like I said, you don't have to do this. I just find that when it's a tag, it needs something on it. And we're going to cut it off. And sometimes with the tags, I like to tie the ends. With this one, we're just going to let it go. And now we're going to have to cut a piece of our magnet. And we're going to put our magnet on. And we are done with number 25.
Valley Smart Solutions, we've got you covered. Why go out in the cold when you can check your cows from the comfort of your own home? Call Valley today at 437-2615 for your free customized quote.
Valley Telecommunications, the home team advantage.
Okay, now that everything has dried pretty good, we are going to work with our number 24. I'm just going to take these, put some Mod Podge on here and glue these down to make our 24. Going to once again take a little strip of magnet, make sure it fits on there. Off with the strip, put it on here, and use a little Mod Podge. Mod Podge, I come to find out, is good for a little bit of everything. A little bit on here. I'm gonna put this on just a little different. What's nice about using a circle too is if you don't get it on just evenly, you can take it and turn the circle, which helps in some cases. With Mod Podge, you only have so much time and then it sets as well. So you don't have a lot of time, you have a little bit of time, but not a lot. Okay, now for our number 4. And once we are all done, we will show you what the board looks like. Number 20 and the 4 is now on. Take off a little bit of the excess that's coming off. Okay, we are on to our number 26. And our number 26, what we used was, we Mod Podged a circle onto a piece of scrapbooking paper. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around and we are going to cut off the excess on it. And once we have the excess cut off, we're going to take our emery board like we did before and we're going to go completely around. We want to make sure that the ends, any kind of little ends that are still on there, are going to be taken off. And we want to make sure that if there's any long pieces, longer than what the circle is, that they get laid down. Now what I'm going to do is I want to do the sides and use some of the wood tint again. So we're going to take a little bit of the wood tint. We're going to take our little cloth here and dab it on the wax paper and we're going to do the ends. Because you can still see the ends, the sides, I guess what I should say, you can still see the sides when it's on the cookie sheet. Now we're going to wipe off the excess that's on here. If you get a little bit on the paper, no big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. Make sure that you get all the sides the way you want them. Wipe it off. Looks pretty good. And now what we're going to do is we are going to hot glue the word 2 and the word 6. Kind of line it up on here, see how it looks. Sometimes with these little pieces, they're kind of hard to get lined up here. What I usually do with them is I will take the middle piece And I'll try to get that lined up first. And once I've got the middle piece lined up, then I can go with the other pieces. So we're going to take the W of the 2. I guess they need more glue. Here's the W. I'm going to take that and lay that on there. And we're going to use the I, which is the middle for the 6. So we're going to take that and we're going to glue that on as well. Put that right beside it. And now we're ready to put the last ones on. And the last letter, T-W-O. To go with the S for the 6. Always try to find the right side. These aren't exactly squared off very well, but that's what I liked them because they weren't perfect. I like the imperfection sometimes as well as I like the way they're supposed to be. Set that, let that dry a little bit. It doesn't take very long for hot glue to dry. I'm going to cut off the piece again. As you can see, we do use a lot of the magnet. And this is our number 26 for our calendar. And now number 27, we already had the disc, the circle made for that. That was the burlap that we used. And I am going to put the 2 on first. So some hot glue. There we go. I hate it when it gets down to the last piece of the tube. So we'll put the 2 on first, then we can kind of see where we want the 7 to go. Kind of want it to go right like that. A little on the Kitty Wonka side. Bit of hot glue on that. And just like that, we have our number 27 done. Now we're going to work on our 28. Here again, I used the distressed color. We painted this first with the chalk paint, and then we took our emery board and we took our sandpaper, we sanded around it, and then we came back with some walnut stain. And I'll put some hot glue on the 2. And we will get that put on here. bring the zero down here a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it off. I want to bring this 1 0 down just a little bit. So a lot of times what you can do with the hot glue is once it's dried, let it dry, and then you can pull it off. Now, if you're going to be using paper, and you're going to be using scrapbook paper, when you pull it off, it pulls off the scrapbook paper too. So, got to be a little bit more careful with that than what you have to when you're using paint. Wanted to do is move the two over a little further. There we go. Now that's where I wanted it to be. I think I'm a little gun shy with the hot glue gun. I've burned my finger twice today already, and I'm not so sure I want to burn it for the third time. Okay. Sometimes the smaller things are the hardest things to put together. And these things I just had laying around in my house, so these didn't cost me anything. Or I should say my husband had them laying around the house. Just going to take my fingernail and take off some of the hot glue that is in between here. Middle, I have a little bit of hot glue I want to get rid of. I'll just take that out. An X-Acto knife is really a handy tool to use to get rid of some of the hot glue. Be very careful though, because an X-Acto knife is very, very sharp. Go. Okay, 28 is now complete. But first, I need a piece of magnet for it. Eight is complete. The 29 is complete. Because remember, we used the chalkboard and now we made a 29. Here we've got a 30. The 30 is a bingo chip. And of course we took a circle. We used the craft paper, scrapbooking paper. Mod Podged it on, let it dry. And we're going to cut as close to the circle as we possibly can. Then we are going to take our emery board. Sure we can get it down. If it's too long, we're going to put it down on the sides. It's just a little tiny bit long. What'll end up happening is it will take that little piece and file it right off. Now remember, of course, the sides. We want to use the stain because we want to stain it. So we're going to take our rag. Again, dunk it in there. Tap on your wax paper and then rub off the excess that you have on there. going to put a little piece of magnet on it. Sometimes it's harder to get that off. A little piece of tape on there. Now, got a little bit of stain on the front, but you know what? That's fine because it actually will fit in perfect with the rest. So I'm going to put the 30 on top a little bit because if you can see this, there is one of those chips in red, number 53, right down here. So I want to put this up on the top so you can still see the 53 from the paper. Take a little bit of hot glue and we'll put the number 30 up just a little higher than we normally would. Our number 30 is complete. One more left, and that's number 31. I have to move these up a little bit. You have to kind of judge how big your stuff is, how far you need to move things up in order to get that 5th row to fit in there. Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes it's more than a little bit. Depends on what you have for your stuff. So a lot of this I can move up a little bit more. When we're done, I'll show you the finished product. There we go, and we'll have room for number 31. And for number 31, what we did was we just took a plain circle. We used the sheepskin paint. When that was chalk paint, when that was totally dry, we took some sandpaper, we sanded around the edges, and then we used the wood tint, the walnut wood tint. We went around the edges, we went over the top a little bit, made it look a little dirty, and then we let it dry, and now we're gonna come back. And I've got some little discs that have the numbers on there, a 3 and a 1. We're going to take that, a little bit of hot glue, and put the 31. These are a little bit harder because they are smaller. A little bit harder to get put on there with big fingers. So expect to get burned a couple times if you're going to use these. And there we have a 3 and a 1. We are going to take a little piece, this, and here is the number 31. Okay, so the thing that we have left to do is May. Now I had picked out some wood pieces, the M, A, and the Y. They're going to be a little bit harder to actually take and put the paper on there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to paint these. And I am going to paint it in the orange color. I love the rust colors. I like the burnt orange. And the burnt orange color, when you take it and distress it and actually use it with the walnut color, turns out to be kind of a rust and a burnt orange. So I'm going to use my favorite color. And when I paint this, this is going to be a bright orange, but it's not going to turn out that way when I'm done.
Valley Telecommunications is pleased to announce that our Technology Solutions Center is fully stocked and open for business. We have a large selection to meet your wants and needs. Some of the items we currently carry are a variety of corded and cordless phones, different brands of tablets such as Kindle Fires and Apple iPads and all the accessories for them, Telekin computers, Epson and HP printers and ink cartridges, Apple iPods and accessories, office supplies, wireless keyboards and mice, cellular phones and accessories, different types of media storage, cameras, headphones, power strips and surge protectors, and much, much more. You can also get your very own Valley swag. Our prices are reasonable and comparable to any other retail store. If there is something that you want or need that we do not currently carry, please let us know so that we can check into it for you. We accept all major credit cards, cash or check. Please feel free to stop by our office and check out our new and improved store for all of your technology and day-to-day business needs.
I'm going to paint these in the orange color, and as you can see, the orange color is quite bright. So I'm going to paint, and again, because I am distressing it, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to get the sides a little bit here. I just think it's a lot easier to actually paint these than it would be to try to get any kind of paper, scrapbooking paper to put on here. I think this would be a little bit difficult. It has a lot of edges, a lot of corners, a lot of everything. So we're going to let this dry. So over to the drying rack we go. It's kind of nice because May is a short month, short name of a month, which is nice because then we don't have to do so much painting. And you can wear gloves when you do this as well. I didn't, but I should have. And we have May left. We have the Y left in May. Acrylic paint doesn't take very long to dry either. It just it seems like it's a lot harder to work with once you start sanding, and for it to take the stain you really have to sand quite a bit harder than you do with chalk paint. And I guess that's why I like the chalk paint. It doesn't take long to dry chalk paint. That's another good reason why I like it. It just seems so effortless. Plus a lot of times with the wood and stuff, the wood is really dry, so it takes more of the acrylic paint for it not to show through versus the chalk paint. And we are done with that. So now while that's drying, what I'm going to show you to do in May, there's two special days in May. There's Mother's Day and there's Memorial Day. So for Memorial Day and other holidays, I want to make special pieces for those holidays. So what I found online was to go with the motif that I've got going here, kind of a vintage feel. I found a flag that's vintage looking to me. So I printed it out on paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out. And you can use anything that you want. You don't particularly need to use a flag, but I thought I could use the flag for Memorial Day. I could use the flag also for Veterans Day. So it could be used for more. It could even be used for the 4th of July if you want it to be. Make sure this fits on here the way we want it to. You can either paint this or you can let it go, whichever you prefer. What I'm going to do with it is I am going to paint it with the sheepskin color again. And Memorial Day is on the 25th. Probably have too many sheepskin colors for that. I do want to paint it a light color. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to sand it a little bit. I don't want the color of the piece to take away from the flag. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand this, make it a little rougher, and see if I can get it into a lighter color. Let me see here. Find a different one here. Here's one that's got a lighter color. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it in the lighter color. I'm going to take Mod Podge. This is a lighter piece. I do like this one a lot better. Take the Mod Podge. Whatever brush you decide to use, when you use the Mod Podge, you have to really wash it good with some good hot soapy water, because it'll dry. And when it dries very, very hard. Okay. So here we have our flag. We want to make sure that we get all the air bubbles out of it. Which we did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm going to sand it down just a little bit on the edges. And once I've sanded down on the edges, I'm just going to take some dark stain and just dark stain the edges, and that's it. I don't want to go take a little bit of this. And again, it's all in what you like. Do what you like. Find the things that you like about it, the colors that you like, the paper that you find. If you want to make one as a kid's, if you want to make a farming one, if you want to make, just sky's the limit. There's so much that you can do and so much that can be done. Just going to put a little bit of stain here on the sides. Wipe it off. And I've got a little bit I'm going to put on the front. Not a lot, just a little bit. This piece is really taking the stain very well. And this so happens to be my Memorial Day one. I'm going to take a little piece of this. Stick it on, and here's my memorial flag. Over here, let that dry a little bit. See if this is dry. Not quite yet. So I'm going to show you what I did for Mother's Day, and also what you can do for a birthday, for something a little bit special. what I did was I took my son's picture. This is his original picture. And I took it and I inserted it into Microsoft Word. Once I put it into Microsoft Word, I was able to use the picture tools format. What I did was I cropped the picture because I just wanted his face on there. I didn't want everything else. So what I did was I clicked on the picture, I went to the picture tools, and you need to rotate it. The reason you need to rotate it is if you would have taken the original picture like this and put it on, it would have been completely wrong. It wouldn't have come out looking like this. So what you do is you take it, you rotate it horizontal. Then what I did was, and this is done on an inkjet printer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the bottom one because that's the one that I want to use. I made sure that it's going to go on my round sheet right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to take a picture, his image, and we are going to put it on this piece of paper. But we're just not going to glue it on. What we're going to do is we're going to use matte gel finish. And what that does is it will take your picture and it will transfer it for you onto the piece of wood.
Don't want to miss out on your favorite shows while you're gone? Get DVR service from Valley and never miss another show again. You can also watch your favorite shows on over 70 channels in our lineup in crystal clear high definition. Sign up for HD or DVR from Valley this month and receive 2 months free and free installation. Call us today at 437-2615. You don't want to miss out on this offer.
What you need to do to transfer a picture onto the piece of wood is you need some medium gel, which I have right here. You take it and you put it on the front of the picture. So you put it on the face of the picture, you goop it on pretty good. And once you got it gooped on, you take it and you put it on your piece of wood. Now you have to make sure that all the bubbles and all the excess is off of here. So we're just going to gently rub it. And like I said, this only works when you print it on a laser jet printer. Okay. So now what you do is you have quite a bit on here. Quite a bit of the gel on here. Now you have to let it set overnight. Okay. Once you let it set overnight, I've got one here that I did last night. Once you let it set overnight, what you do is you take some water, take a rag, and you get it wet. Once you get it wet, you start just going like this and letting the paper peel off. Now as you can see, it's wet, the paper is peeling off. Keep going. May have to re-wet a little bit. Some places I have to wet, I didn't get it wet on the sides here. We're going to wet it again. As you can see, the picture is starting to take shape. I'm just going to rub it lightly because it's still kind of wet, so we don't want to rub too much. And here is the picture of my son when he was a little guy. This is what I'm going to use when it's his birthday. I'll take off the 15 and I'll put this in place of the 15. Now we're coming back to our May, which is dry. Just going to take it, rough it up a little bit, rough up the sides. top, the front, between here. That's why I kind of like an emery board. It just seems like it's easier to handle. Finish. There, I got that one done. Got this one just about finished. And we're gonna take our stain after it. And then we're almost done. The process of making this takes a while. For number one, the thought process, you have to have a plan in mind because you kind of have to decide what it is you're looking for. What kind of a calendar do you want to make? What are your colors? Get your colors together. If you want to do and use any kind of scrapbooking paper, get your scrapbooking paper together. Decide what it is that you want to use there. It took me months to find the numbers that I really liked, that I wanted. I want uniqueness. I just didn't want to go on the internet and do a bunch of printing of numbers because to me, I didn't want that. So I took time and looked for things. Went to the different hobby stores, looked online, because a lot of times online you can find things online that aren't in the store. Okay. Now we're back to putting a little bit of this on here, and we'll rub it off. And you may want to go with colors that are in your house that kind of match things. If you have, like I said, I like antiques. I like old things. I like anything old. Maybe that's what you wanna do. If you like bright colors, you maybe want to go with your bright colors. If you like neon colors, that's maybe something you want to look into. Into getting into finding the paints. I actually started with finding paints first, and then I went from there, and then I looked around for, once I had my paints in the hand, then I looked around for the scrapbooking paper that I wanted. Once I found the scrapbooking paper that I wanted, then everything from there was just kind of a search and find and look and trust me, crafting it doesn't always turn out. Sometimes, there's times I had the stuff laying on my table, I would walk by it, didn't like it, change it. Then I'd find something else, I'd like that better, walk by it, changed it. Okay, now we actually have our distressed me. What we're going to do is we're going to have to cut some of this a little bit skinnier. The magnet. This magnet really cuts, it cuts very well. And once we got the magnets and everything on, then we can show you what it looks like. You don't have to stay with the months like this. I plan on changing it up. My months, I'm not going to always use these types of letters. There are other things that you can use, and I do plan on doing that. I plan on making every month look different. As far as the 1 through 31, that I'm going to keep the same, but my months are going to look totally different. And we are just about done. Should have worn my gloves the last time here when I was using the stain, because now this is what you end up with. And here is the completed calendar for the month of May. Here I used a rusty nail. Here I just so happened to find a clock that showed 2 o'clock. The number 3 found a button with 4 holes. Here's another button that had the number 5, a domino. This was actually a wrench that my husband had that we cut off. Here's the number 8. Here we put pearls, 9 pearls. Here it just says 10. Of course, the chalkboard. Here is a key. This here is the cloth measuring tape. This here is a house number. And then, of course, the small numbers for the 15 and so on. We use the cards for 21 and 2 dimes for the 20. You can use whatever you want. Make it as unique and as personal as you want. Join us again next month for the next episode of Just Crafting Around.